Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I am making chili cornbread and chili. Now it's my recipe for chili and I hope you think it looks nice. I have a friend who would disagree that it's not the traditional chili because I put a lot more vegetables in it, but for me it works really well and I enjoy the fact that it's using a lot of different ingredients and it really moves the meat out as an addition, not just the whole thing. So at the moment I've got 500 grams of beef mince cooking away with some onions in this pan, and in this pan I'm sweating down 2 onions ready to be added into my corn and flour mix ready for making my cornbread. The main bit with this is letting it cook down and cooking the onions properly through before you mix everything else there so that they're nice and sweet, and the beef mince is really starting to cook down and break down into the sauce. I tend to find that although you can make a chili really quickly, it's much better if you allow it to cook and simmer away for quite a while. The flavours really start to develop. This is a Chipotle chili. It's nice and smoky, and that goes in at this stage just to start adding its own flavour to the mix. I'll be adding chilies later on to add the fire, but this is really there to, one, put a bit of heat in, but mainly to put a smoky Mexican flavour in. So whilst the onions are sweating down and the chilies cooking down before I add some more vegetables, I'm starting to make my cornbread. In this mix at the moment I have 6 tablespoons of flour, 325 grams of coarse ground cornmeal, 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a half teaspoon of salt, in this case pink Himalayan because I like it. And now I'm about to add some eggs. I'm not good enough to do this one-handed, and I don't like eggshell in it, so I'll do it the safe way. Now if they're large eggs then 4's fine. These are medium, so I'm either going to use 5 or 6 depending on how it looks. And then the final bit to then mix the batter up is 250 ml of milk. After that I'm going to stir in some sweet corn. Late summer, autumn's really good when you've got fresh corn from the garden. Today it's going to be frozen because I don't have any ready to take yet. I'll stick 6 in, it's only a little one. Right. So I'm adding about 2 cobs worth of sweet corn to the mix. It's a little bit by eye, obviously much easier when you've got cobs. And I'm also going to add most of the cheese and then a few chili flakes. So that would be enough sweet corn. I've got 150-ish grams of cheddar cheese here. I'm going to reserve some for the final part of the cooking process to put on the top. Most of it's going in now. This is the amount that I'll reserve to on the top, and I'm going to chuck in some chili flakes, and some black pepper. And at this point I'm going to fold it through so it's all mixed up, and shortly the onions will be stirred in as well. And I like using cast iron because I think it looks nice when you serve it. It's rustic, but equally there's no toxic chemicals on cast iron. It's really good for you from that point of view. Non-stick's excellent until it starts coming off, and I don't like the idea of me or the rest of the family ingesting those particulates. So you could put this in a cake tin because it is going to rise, but I'm going to bake it in the cast iron pan in the oven when I mix the onion through. But pretty much that's all you need to do to make the cornbread, which in the UK isn't massively popular, but I know in the US and Canada it's much more popular, which is where I've eaten it a lot more and brought it back here. So that's all mixed. I'm going to add it back into the frying pan, into my skillet to be my cooking vessel. As I said earlier, you are able, well, you can use a cake tin that you grease and line, but I think it looks a lot better for the type of food that this is, presented like you were cooking outside, which is nice to cook this outside, but it's been a bit wet today, so we're doing this indoors. The last stage before we stick it in the oven is to place some chillies on the top, which is nice from a presentation point of view, as well as a flavour one. These aren't particularly hot. I have not I've not taken any of the seeds out, or I hope it's not particularly hot. They weren't yesterday when I had some of the others, and it's not designed to blow your head off, this dinner. You could make it as hot as you like it, but I tend to, and the family like the spice, but of a pleasant heat rather than a blow your head heat. As the mince and onion is now cooked right down, I'm adding some carrots and some celery. Not necessarily, or certainly not in some of the traditional recipes, but as I said earlier, this is my chilli. I like it. I like the fact that you can adapt this to your own personal tastes, and also one, it makes the meat go further, which is good from a thrifty point of view, feeding a family, but also it's healthier, so you still enjoy all the different aspects of it, but get a lot of vegetables into your children without them realising quite how much they're eating. And it's at this stage I'm going to start adding some additional items as well, so more dried chili flakes. We've got a few mixed herbs, some celery seeds, they give a really nice savoury flavour, and in a little while, once that's started to cook down, I'll add some more ingredients. I'm going to use two types of beans today. some cannellini beans and some borlotti beans. Normally you might use red kidney beans, or I like using pinto and black beans, but I don't have those in the store cupboard, so I'm using these instead. It's at this stage I tend to add some stock. I don't have any regular beef stock with me today, so I am using a stock cube. I crumble that in with that, and I particularly like using this vegetable powder, which really helps balance the flavours. I nearly use it like a salt seasoning to a certain extent. I'm not going to add any salt into this. The salt's only coming from the stock that I've added, and I'm going to add a tin of tomatoes, I'm adding the beans and the bean water because I think it helps thicken everything, and it provides the liquid in my chilli. Some people like to drain their beans. And I'm now just going to mix it all in. So I've just extracted my cornbread from the oven. It's been in there for just about 30 minutes on 200 degrees centigrade, and I'm going to add the last bit of the cheese over the top before returning it to the oven for a final blast, just to toast this on nicely. But it's almost ready, and at this stage I'm going to add some peppers and a bit of courgette to the chilli, because you don't want to overcook these softer items. It's nice to add that in, but the chilli is equally just about there, and we're just stirring it through for the last stage, and it adds a nice bit of colour to the whole dish. Doesn't really matter which ones you use. I've used some orange and yellow ones today, but the nice thing I like about the chilli is it can change with what you have, largely available and coming in from the garden, although it's a bit early for these bits for me. But by the end of the summer, especially during the school holidays, it's nice cooking this outside on a tripod over a fire. And here it is. So this is the chili cornbread and the chili. The original recipe is based on Jamie Oliver's Cooking in America series, but I've adapted it a bit to myself, and it had its time, looking quite good. And the chili varies, as I said earlier, with all the different bits and pieces in it. So it's developed all its flavours now, and I'm really looking forward to eating it. Now for the best part.